Hello and welcome to episode number 9 of Homegrown Heroes, the Saving Sunderland. The save where I am trying to make Sunderland a top British club using only British and Irish qualified players. That's first or second nationality of British and Irish only. It is a challenge, but we got to the end of season 1. We finished in 11th place. It was a good season, so this is the season review episode. Looking at our goalkeepers, we did have to break our rule of only playing English, British and Irish players by playing FMT17 around Christmas because we had injuries to our other goalkeepers. Jordan Pickford was our number one, a very decent season for him. He'll only get better, and Marcus Bettinelli, who will be my second or third choice keeper depending on who I can bring in the summer. Vita Manoni is available, and hopefully some teams will want him. At the moment he's wanted by Aston Villa, but Wigan have shown an interest in the past as well. In terms of defenders, at the right back spot we got 3 for next season. One of them, Adam Matthews, was on loan last season. He'll be a very useful backup because he can play at left back as well. Donald Love was my number 1, a very consistent season from him, and Billy Jones competing as well. I'm very comfortable with my options there for next season. It's a similar story for left back really. We've got one good player for us, as Reece Wiggins, had a very consistent season. Tom Robson is a young guy who probably won't make it at this level, but he did well when he played, so I'm not going to criticise him too badly. And Courtney Howes and Adam Matthews can be as backup for the left back position. Centre halves, it's the old guard that did well for me last season. John O'Shea and Julian Lescott at 36 and 34 were both very consistent. O'Shea played the more games, averaging 6.88, but Lescott also contributed well, averaging 6.89. Ably backed up by Paddy McNair and Courtney Howes when Howes came in January. For next season, it'll be Howes +1 as my main centre-back pairing. Paddy McNair is a good shout for that position, but we'll see how it goes. Possibly O'Shea starting as well, but here is on my shortlist for next season. A top quality centre-half is on my list, so hopefully I can get one of those in. Tom Beeling is out of contract at the end of the season and he will be released. Kyle Callum McFadden did play 21 games, but that is not for us. That is on loan at Plymouth Argyle. In midfield, I have quite a number of options for that centre midfielder role. Lisa Catamol was my star man, really, in that place. He was injured for the first and the last part of the season, but when he played, he did very well, averaging 7.10 with Jack Rodwell as his partner in that midfield, averaging 6.98. That was my best partnership, really. Darren Gibson was injured for most part of the season and didn't really get back into the side. He's got 1 year left on his contract. I will probably look to move him on because he's not happy where he is. So if I can get some money for him, that would be very beneficial. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was in on a season-long loan from Chelsea. Little bit disappointed with his output, only 18 games played, most of them from the substitute bench, an average rating of 6.75. He will have a very good future in the game, but it will not be with us as he is going back to Chelsea. Stephen Pienaar at 35 was a very capable squad player playing in that central midfield or as a shadow striker. Signed a new contract during the middle of the season, so he'll be a very useful squad player for us next season, as well as Charlie Adam, who played 35 times in all Premier League fixtures, scoring 3 goals, 6.92 from him. Again, he was in the shadow striker or the midfield role. Ethan Robson played the last game of the season coming off the bench, a young guy. He'll be around next season and probably out on loan. Elliot Embleton was out on loan for most of the season at Southend, 15 games played. Jason Malumbi came in from Brighton in January and immediately went out on loan to Crawley. I'll be looking to get him some more loan time next season. Only 17. There's a lot of potential in this lad, so I'm very hopeful that he'll be a long-term player for us. Lyndon Gooch, the American, who is also British and Irish nationality, 19 games, 1 goal, very much a squad player, as well as Daniel Wright, a young shadow striker who played the last 5 games coming off the bench. In terms of my wide midfielder positions, the standout star was Duncan Watmore. 31 games, 5 goals, 9 assists, 7.13 an average rating. A very talented young lad. Started his career at Altrincham, so he knows about non-league football and has come to the Premier League. So our Jamie Vardy, so to speak. That's the success story. The failures: Jack Harrison was signed on loan for the season from New York. I think it was New York Red Bulls. New York City Football Club. I got the New York right, but he was disappointing. Didn't really figure past October, November time. He was cheap, he was available, so I brought him in, but he's never really got anywhere near the first team squad. Will Buckley was out on loan last season. He's out of contract, and I've already told him he will be let go at the end of the season. At 27, he is probably too old to be a squad player for the wages he is on. Victor Anichebe, even though he's not really a natural left-sided midfielder, did a very good job at the inside forward role for the season. 30 games, 5 goals. He will not be my first choice inside left because I've already signed a new player for that position, who I won't name now. That'll be for the next episode. I like to keep things exciting for you, my audience. Anichebe can also play as a striker, so that'll probably be where he'll be placed as a backup striker for Defoe next season, but he's a good, solid player to have in the squad. George Honeyman, 22, out contract at the end of the season. He'll be let go. On to my strikers, and it is very clear who the star player was in this view. Jermaine Defoe, 29 goals from 38 games, average rating of 7.18. He was brilliant for me. Standout player as a complete forward, can also play as a shadow striker if required. Gary Hooper was signed as a backup player. I will admit I'm a little bit disappointed with what he produced. 4 goals in 31 games. I hoped for a little bit more, but as a backup, he'll probably be around next season. He was wanted by Hull earlier on in end of May time, but nothing came of it, so I might let him go. We'll have to see what I can get. I do need at least one more striker. I've got, in terms of young players, Joshua Marja at 18, scored on his debut, more of a poacher than a complete forward, and I've got Jason Cummins, who can play as a striker or a attacking midfielder. Signed him from Hibs and let him go back on loan from Hibs. He's a very promising young player indeed. These are the players I still have to remove from the club's wage bill. Oliver Payne and Javier Manquillo are both out of contract at the end of the season. They will both leave the club. Mika, I've had an offer come in from Derby County, which we've accepted, so that's £500,000 hopefully coming in. Fabio Barini and Jermaine Lenz are big burdens on the wage bill and under contract for the next 2 seasons. I was able to get both of those to go out on loan throughout the season, so worst case scenario, they'll go out on loan for next season. Sam Brotherton, centre back, and Maximilian Sturcek as a goalkeeper. Both those I'm potentially going to release early from their contracts because they're nowhere near the squad. And Wahabi Kazri under contract. Again, if I can't sell him, I'll loan him out. In terms of finances, it's all looking a little bit rosy at the moment. I've got 18 million in the bank, a transfer budget of 16 million. It was 31 million, so I have made a couple of signings. I'll leave that reveal until the next episode because hopefully there'll be a few more. But the big piece of news, or not the big piece of news, the big target for me is a first choice striker to put real pressure on Jermaine Defoe and a good solid centre half. I've got a couple of irons in the fire that I want to get in. There'll be names that you're familiar with because they're playing in the Premier League at the moment. What I'm also going to do is when the new intake comes in from youth players, I will be looking around the other clubs in the Premiership and the Championship to see if there is anyone there that I can sneakily snap up. As this is Football Manager Touch, they'll already have a contract with the new club, so it works slightly different than it does in the full version of the game. In terms of the actual season, Premier Division finished 11th, that was a really good season. FA Cup, we had a disappointing campaign, really. We struggled past Peterborough for a draw away from home before beating them 2-0 at Stadium of Light. And then we lost to Watford in a really nothing game where they didn't really do much, we didn't really do much, and they scored a late winner. The EFL Cup was a disaster. Almost as much of a disaster it is for me finding the information. We lost on penalties to Northampton Town. A game that we dominated, we should have won. We didn't, and we lost on penalties. Really disappointing. For next season, I'd like us to have a bit more of a run in the cup competitions, but my main focus will be a mid-table finish in the Premier League. Tactically, I've got some work to do over the summer. Home tactic, I think, is pretty good. It does the job. We're top 8 in terms of form last season, so that's a really good position to be in. The away tactic, our away form was absolutely atrocious, so I need to find a way to make us more robust from a defensive point of view, while still creating chances up front. I have ideas of what I want to do, and we'll have to see how this develops over time. That's enough waffle for me. I'll leave the episode there, and we'll get together at the start of next season. We'll have gone through pre-season, we'll have made some signings, and we'll be all raring to go. So I've been the FMT17 novice. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you very much, and good night.